you know me. Everybody say that they know me, they only see me on the cover of a Vogue and they clone me. We cannot be friends because I like being lonely. I'm a boss. Tell them not today.
Okay, so I have Kash here. Is that how you pronounce your name, or is it Kosh?
It's
I guess I should ask that. Kash. Okay, because that's how I was saying it, but I also grew up in Tennessee, so my accent is not always the best at pronouncing people's names. I've been known to butcher names off and on, but so Kash. I love the name Kash, actually. Super love that name. We kind of talked just for a couple of minutes before we went on air, but I was so inspired reading your post that I reached out to you, and I just had to interview you because I think that real and raw is so hard to find, especially in the professional world. I think a lot of business owners think that if they show their scars, that if they show, their mistakes, that for some reason, people won't trust them or want to do business with them, which I think is completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I really was inspired by that. I would love if you kind of gave us a glimpse of that post just for our listeners, just to kind of go over your story.
Okay, sure. So I'm just going to dive a little deep as far as being a young girl, teenage mom. I got pregnant with my daughter at 15, had her at 16.
Yeah.
And I would say that started the point in my life where I became angry. Okay. A little bit before that, my stepfather had passed away in a drunk driver accident where somebody hit him. It was out of the blue, and I was already angry from that. And when that happened, I had my daughter. He was there for just a little while to see her and, see her born and stuff. And then I had her. It's kind of like I was the person that my mom, I was the only girl. Okay. I have 3 brothers on my mom's side. And I was always in like pageants and modeling competitions and singing. And I just always was doing something to entertain. And once I had my daughter, it was adulthood, get a job, first graduate, which I did not graduate with my class. I had to go off to military school, and I graduated a year before my class, but I didn't get the prom experience. When I dated, I had to date for family reasons because I had a child. So I had a lot of anger built up. And now that I'm older, I just have a better outlook on attitude and positivity and motivation, that kind of stuff. But being that single mom, I had a lot of bad relationships. I'm not going to say a lot, one bad relationship. And I just didn't know who I was. So during that relationship and trying to escape that relationship, on both sides, I got into, a little bit of trouble with the abuse in the relationship. And I'm not going to blame it all on the ex. I'll say it was me. I am mature enough today to say a lot of that was me. It's because I was angry, and I happened to get in a lot of trouble, fighting him and, being angry and just lashing out and stuff, which caused me to end up being on probation. Okay. When I was on probation, just still out in the world, thinking nobody could touch me. I had that mentality that, I'm just going to get probation. If he makes me mad or he controlled the way I thought or how I felt, my mom's just going to put the land up or the house up and I'll be out of jail. That was my mindset back then.
Yeah.
Until that time where she was no longer able to save me. And I had just had my baby. He was about 5 weeks old. And I remember standing in the courthouse lactating because I had just had him and I was breastfeeding him.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that the judge is, he's going to, say, oh gosh, she's a new mom. My public defender, he's speaking. She just had a baby, but I wasn't mature enough to check in with my probation officer like I was supposed to. And that I remember the judge saying for every day you ran, you will do every day. So I remember them giving me the time frame, and I just cried. So when I was escorted out of the courtroom, and I went behind to, get ready to basically complete my sentence, I had already been in the county for like 4 months. So that was dead time. It didn't count when you go to the PDC. You have to start over day one. Okay. So while all the time that I'm locked up, mind you, I am still immature. I'm still angry. I'm still mad. I'm still bitter. And I ended up getting more time added on because of my attitude. Yeah. Because nobody could talk to me any kind of way and I was going to take it. I happened to get locked up close enough to home where my mom could bring my 3 kids to visit me. And I remember having a cellmate that found out that I was some kin to the sergeant at the women's PDC. And she threatened to get me moved to Atlanta to the metro and I wouldn't be able to see my kids because my mom didn't have transportation and she was sick. So I remember spazzing out, throwing things at this girl, yelling and screaming and just being angry because I thought at that moment that she could control what went on in my life. So after that, I was on lockdown. I lost a lot of privileges. I lost a lot of visitation. I missed seeing although I had 2 other kids, I missed seeing my baby, the baby that isn't going to know me when I get home. And I cried and I cried. And I was just like, I'm not used to my children not knowing me. My baby isn't going to know me. And I'm not even going to say when I did those 16 to 18 months that I changed, because I didn't change. I didn't change to a point where my attitude was better or, it was more of I woke up and I saw that the only person that had my back was my mom and my kids. So I did my time. I got home. When I got home, I ended up finding love and I got married in a matter of 3 months. Remind you, I'm still angry. I'm still mad. I was happy for that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Happy for that moment. But I'm still mad, still angry, still bitter. Don't know who I am, and I'm just a married woman now. And I had already been with my ex for 10 years and I got married like so fast. So it was fine. Marriage was fine. I was able to eventually grow and start working a job. So remind you, I'm a convicted felon. So being that convicted felon, I had to plead first offender. And when I ran and messed up the first offender, that's how I became a convicted felon. And nobody would hire me. I put down the truth on my application. Nobody would hire me. And I was like, wow, I'm being honest now. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling, everything on this application. Nobody would hire me. So we moved to Texas. My dad has an oil field. He's been in the oil field. He had an oil field company. And eventually I started working for him. Once the oil field crashed, I went to start working for this temp agency where I gained a lot of skills. I gained a lot of people skills, learning how to interview people, learning how to be professional. And I didn't come from that type of backgrounds per se. I always dressed nice and I always went after what I wanted, but I didn't know how to speak, or I thought I supposed to, like you said in the beginning, was you think you got to be professional and you think you got to dress this kind of way and whatever. So I'm dealing with people every day. I'm going out to companies and pitching these people's company. And all I got was criticism. You're ghetto. That was number one. Oh. We're going to send you to these etiquette classes so that, you can speak like this, or we're going to do this and do that. And, so you can be better, which I now today appreciate, but then I was offended.
I'd say there's a level of, I was just saying, I'd say there's a level of both. I would feel offended. Mm-hmm. I feel very offended by that statement, but there's something to be said about being your own real self, but there is also nothing wrong with adding to your skills and adding.
Exactly. And that's what I learned. So over the time period of me getting that job and being there for 3 years, learning, growing, I got pregnant with my 4th child with my husband, and I blossomed.
Yeah.
I blossomed into this go-getter on a more serious level. I've always been in the credit repair world, meaning I helped my mom, I helped my cousins, I helped my friends, but I never charged. I never, I just wanted to help them because I knew it could be done. I knew things could be fixed. I knew they could live better because I was doing it for myself.
Yeah.
And as I grew, it was more of, I started watching other people in my industry. I started watching people outside of my industry, because you can learn a lot when you watch other people outside of the industry as well.
Absolutely.
So as I'm growing, I realized, guess what? I was still bitter. I was still hurt. I was still broken. I was still sad. I was still mad. Everything. Up until a year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago. I didn't forgive myself for leaving my kids, acting, crazy with my ex. I did not forgive myself. And I learned that I had to sit down, find out who I was, what I wanted, what I needed, and I needed to forgive myself. So I started to meditate. I started to dig deep inside of me and pull out, which is, you love the name Kash. My name is actually Kashif.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and forgive Kashif and tell her she's beautiful. Tell her she's loved. Tell her that it's okay, that your stepfather died and didn't get to see the girl that he raised into this woman. That it's okay that I was a young mother. That it's okay that I went through an abusive relationship and I was the main abuser.
Yeah.
It is okay. Forgive yourself and level up and move on. And that's exactly what I did. And in that process, I was overweight. I was madly overweight. And I said, I got to get rid of this weight too, because, that those chemical imbalances from that weight and hormones, all of that, I studied myself. I studied my health. I studied it. And I said, I gotta be better. So as soon as I became better, I was able to love my kids more and do more with my kids, because I started seeing the pattern of mommy's in the house. Mommy's taking naps. Mommy's very tired and sleepy and sluggish.
Yeah.
I had to get rid of all of that. And once I forgave myself, started losing weight. I've always been a motivator. I've always helped people. I've always given. But guess what I was losing? I was losing myself.
Absolutely.
And yes. And I said, I've helped thousands of people. It's time for me to help myself. And I didn't start doing that until 2020. I thought helping myself would be selfish. I didn't get excited about helping me. I got excited when everybody else got approved, when everybody else built their businesses, when I've given somebody, tips and strategies and stuff to build their business and they get great wins. I got satisfaction from that. But I had to realize, okay, it's your turn now. It's your turn to grow and evolve. And that's what I've been doing. And it has been amazing. And like I said, for any listener, for anybody that feels like they can't move on, think about your past. Think about the things that hurt you. Think about the things that the people, even friends. I've lost so many friends.
Yeah.
Family members. All because I decided to evolve and become better. And when you evolve and you become better, you start to see through people.
Absolutely.
So,
well, first of all, I just want to say, wow. And, I think so many women can feel what you've been saying, because I think all of us at some level have given and given and given.
Mm-hmm.
I know, me, myself, I grew up in a poor family, and I was a victim of sexual abuse growing up, which I hid and hid and hid. And find me. I thought it, just soiled me. I thought I was less valuable because of all of that stuff. And when you think that you're not valuable, you make decisions like you're not valuable. I was a teenage mom. So I had my first child right before I turned 18. So I was a teen mom.
Oh, wow.
I was supposed to graduate. And again, I was raised in a Southern Baptist family. You just don't do that in a Southern Baptist family.
Mm-hmm.
That became this like stigma that Maria was less than. And I
Right.
believed it. I believed it. I believed I was
Mm-hmm.
sinful and I made mistakes. And,
Mm-hmm.
if I hadn't been where I shouldn't have been, then I wouldn't have been sexually abused. And, all these things you
Right.
tell yourself. And
Right.
I let that sink deep within my soul. And it made me make decisions that I normally wouldn't have made.
Wouldn't have made.
Got into relationships that
Mm-hmm.
weren't the best relationships because I thought that's all I deserved. And I put
Right.
people speaking to me less than I deserve because I thought I didn't deserve better. And I think like you said, you evolve, you go through it. And for the longest time, and I've talked to so many women that they're kind of on the same page, that you take it and you take it and you take it because
Yes.
you think that's all there is.
That's the punishment.
Yeah.
That's the karma. Like
exactly.
I said in my post, I thought it was my karma. It was this, it was that. Yep. And in reality, it wasn't. It's just life.
Exactly.
It was just a part of your growth, a part of your journey. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's just what it is. And once we get over that part, once we get over it's just our journey, guess what? That's when things are about to take off.
Exactly. And you mentioned that one day you just kind of woke up, and I was the same way. And I realized that a lot of the decisions I was making, I had this hard shell. Like really, I was just like a ball of emotional mess on the inside, so broken. But I put on this hard shell for years and years and years that I didn't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. Yep.
I did, but I didn't want to care because caring hurt, right?
Hurt. Oh,
it did.
Gosh.
It just hurt. Until, one day I couldn't hold all the pieces together. I just there was so much weighing down on me that I just crumbled. I just crumbled to pieces. And at that point, I didn't have any other choice. I either could lay there and crumbled bits, and I'm way too stubborn for that, or I was going to have to stand up and start to rebuild myself. And that is where I woke up. So your story really resonated with me just because, it was the same thing. I had to dig deep. I had to start meditating. I had to dig into who I was. I didn't even know who I was. I didn't.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that was me. That was me. People would see me from back home. They'll see me, marketing and posting and giving the education, and they'll see that part. But I still did not know who I was and what I wanted.
Exactly.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Well, and I think that happens because if you've been defined by trauma, whether it was deaths or, lots of things, just trauma, if you've been defined by trauma and hurt, and you build this hard shell, you do that because you don't feel in control. And when you don't feel in control, you're terrified and you're scared. And so you have to pick things you can control.
Yeah,
you can control being angry. Yeah. You can control your anger. You can control the chip on your shoulder. You can control your attitude of the fake I don't care. You can control all of those things. But that's not the real and the raw you. Real and the raw you is down deep inside. They're screaming to get out.
To get out. And that's why we fight so much for being in control, because guess what? Nobody can't see inside of us.
Absolutely.
Nobody can't see what we feel. Nobody can't hear our thoughts. I mean, I literally was on depression meds as a pregnant woman. And I remember the doctor telling me, he said, this is the worst case. I've been in this industry for 30 years, seeing pregnant patients. And your case is the worst. I never prescribed meds for pregnant women.
Yeah.
And I had to get meds because I was off. I was like gone. And it was like, I still didn't know. I was heartbroken. I was disturbed. Like I just did not know how ugly it was until I sat down and had to figure out, this is what hurt me. This is not the people. It's not the people. It's the situation and the circumstances and all of that stuff. And then you thinking to yourself, I let my kids down. Until now my daughter's 19.
Yeah. And
we had a deep conversation. She finally told me her story.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she did. But at the same time, she said, Mom, it's not your fault. When I got that apology and that, Mom, you were young. Mom, it's okay. You've always been a good mom. You always took care of us. You just had a hiccup in the road. When she told me that, I went beast mode. We cried. I hugged her. And from then, I just said, you know what? I owe you even more. I'm going to go out of my way and make sure that you have everything that your heart desires along with your younger brothers and sister.
So that's amazing. And I think sometimes we are so quick to think that nobody will forgive us, or if we've made mistakes, or, that it's so far gone, there's no point in trying, or whatever lies we tell ourselves. And I think so many people fall into that trap. But in reality, we're our own worst critic.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
that self-talk, that self-doubt, even if something good happens, and I'm better at this now. It's been a while now that I've been meditating and gratitude journaling and all of that. But it's still every once in a while, those thoughts creep in. Well, you don't have the right to say this because I've just out of this, and I'm like, I have to tell myself, shut up.
Shut definitely. Up. Yeah. We don't think we deserve what we get, and it's crazy, but it's like that. But, once we learn, like you said, meditation helps. Yeah, speaking life into your life helps. Saying positive words help. And like every morning, today I'm gonna have a good day. Today I'm gonna inspire somebody. Absolutely. Today I'm gonna do this. That's how I think now.
Yep. And manifest it, girl.
Manifesting. Yes. I'm telling you. Yes. If I told people my manifestation journey and how I manifest things up and people into my life that are of a certain caliber in the industry I am, in other industries, it'll creep them out. It'll creep them out. And it took a long time to get here. You got to really be in tune with yourself.
Yeah, you do.
To get there.
So have you found that being real and raw, do you feel that that's helped your business?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. I don't see it. And I said, and I think to myself, oh, they're probably tired of me telling I got more stories than this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is just the most touching, because I know other people resonate with some of the points inside of it. It
absolutely
matches. And and when you get those messages and those DMs and, those emails saying, oh my gosh, I read your story, or this, you inspired me to keep going. And, I'm doing, even if it's one person, we're doing our job.
Exactly. I think that's the point. I think that, and I made this mistake early on in my professional life, is I, tried to be super professional all the time. I tried to keep my own personal journeys to myself and, wear my mask of perfection and show up, ready to rock. And there's nothing wrong with being, positive and, all those things. I have that layer, but I also have the layer that who I am comes from all that I've been through.
Exactly.
So, not honoring that, I feel like I'm doing a disservice.
Yes.
Yeah. And if there's people, and I'm sure there are, and whatever, if there's people that are like, she's not my cup of tea because I don't want to hear about that, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah. The best definition of marketing, yourself, is that you are bringing in your people. And at the same time, you are repelling the ones that are not for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, ma'am. Yes. And that's one thing I've learned early on. Everybody is not your potential client.
Yeah.
Everybody is not your audience, like you said. And a lot of the times we'll find that those that don't want to hear our stories, they'll get off the live, they'll get off of, they'll unfollow us, whatever. But I'm going to tell my story until I'm blue in the face.
And I'm the same way. And I think, I'm just like, I'm wanting to clap over here, but that wouldn't be good for the audio, but I want to clap for you over here because I love that. I'm getting like goosebumps because being that raw and that real and honing in on your story, at the very beginning for me, that was super hard. The first time I ever said, I'm a sexual abuse survivor, I felt like it was like this brand, this stamp on me, this dirty stank that I couldn't remove. And it got a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And, like you mentioned, the DMs and the emails and because obviously so many people have experienced things like that. And they just, it's looked at.
It's shameful. Hard.
It's looked
hard.
at shameful. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to tell people what you've been through, and I had to say at this point, I don't care.
Yep.
I do not care. I'm going to tell you guys what I've been through because I'm trying to help the people that want to be helped.
And they're out there.
They're out there.
That's what I envision. There could be somebody that was the same way I was. That was, in an abusive relationship because I thought I deserved to be talked to like shit all the time. I deserved that because I was not worthy. I thought I deserved to not completely be happy, that, my life was good enough. So whatever, I had that mentality, and there's somebody else out there that right now has the same mentality, that
exactly
they're not enough. They don't feel valuable, that they feel like this is all that it's going to be. This is good enough.
This is it.
Yeah. And I don't want that for anybody, because I feel so alive now.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
Being able to give that to somebody just from me saying, gosh, I was there. I felt that. I did. I felt that. I was there.
Definitely. And if we have to keep repeating ourselves over and over and over again, they may not get it the first time. They may not get it the second time, but after a while, they'll be able to recant our stories and say, if she did it, I can do it.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your business. We're going to kind of turn. We've talked about kind of your why and your story, which again, goose pimples, but what is it that I know you do credit repair, which obviously that's super important for people.
Definitely.
Can you talk a little bit about what brought you to wanting to do that, and a little bit about your business?
Okay, sure. So, credit repair is one of those journeys that, like I said, I have like 14 years of experience in the credit repair industry as far as helping people, but a physical legal business for 5 years.
Yeah.
At the age of 19, I'm out in the world and I need to get an apartment. So my first thing is, I have a job where I'm working part-time, not making a little bit of, a lot of money. Yeah. So let me go to this government apartment, the easiest thing to get, we think, and let me just get a safe haven for me and my child. So I go to this apartment, I apply, they decline me and say, hey, back then you had to wait on a letter in the mail. Yeah. Now it's instant. We email it or we print it out and show you why you was declined. But I waited on the letter in the mail. It told me, oh, poor credit. Well, it didn't register me because I didn't know what credit was.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to get a more expensive apartment, paid a lot down to get in there, all of the stuff that bad credit, you have to do with bad credit. And I yard sale. I like to yard sale, and stuff. So I get the back then we had newspapers where you circle where you want to go and you go. So I'm looking and I'm yard selling, looking in the newspaper to find items for my new apartment. And I see $200 credit repair. Well, credit repair registered in my mind because I had just gotten denied maybe 30 days prior.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, credit repair, is that real? So I set up the appointment at the regional library, went and met the guy that actually helped me with my credit, paid my $200. And I did everything that he told me to do. And I remember him saying distinctively, when I mail you the letters to mail to the credit bureaus, do not open these letters. Just put them in another envelope and mail them to the credit bureaus. And I did that for 6 months. And till this day, I still wonder, well, what was in those letters? But it's what I do, but I did exactly what he told me to do. Never open them. Just put them in a manila envelope, a bigger envelope, each one of them, and send them off. I did that. My credit improved. I was able to get credit cards. I was able to get a better apartment, move in. I moved in for a penny because my credit was so good. This is when I moved to Atlanta. And things were just falling into my lap, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, oh gosh, I'm 20 years old and I have all this available credit, and, I'm able to go get a car and drive off the lot now. And, just all of that good stuff. And I'm like, this is amazing. But I still didn't take the note because I didn't have the entrepreneur mindset then. So I'm helping my mom, everybody, hey, let's, dispute this stuff off your credit report, whatever. And so that you can start getting things and doing things. Well, after I have fast forward to 15 years later, I'm laying down. I got pregnant with my daughter, had to quit my job because I had a high risk pregnancy. And I'm laying in the bed and it's like a light bulb went off to me in my sleep. My husband was the only one working. We were struggling so bad. We was on food stamps and Medicaid and, he was just getting his trucking business off of the ground. And it was bad. It was bad.
That's rough.
And I woke up, I sat straight up in the bed and I remember shaking him and I was like, Nick, I can help people with their credit. I can help people with, and he rose up and he looked at me, babe, no, go to bed. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like
this pregnancy.
Yes. He was like, this is not the right time.
Yeah.
So I started helping people in my area, and I started marketing. I started with, my husband had a few things that needed to come off of his credit. So I said, you know what? Let me use his letters that I had already previously gotten in the mail for him. Let me go ahead and post these results. So I started posting the results and, going from there. And then that's when people started calling me. I would do the consultation, speak to them about their credit. And along the way, I learned so much. And then it just evolved to now figure out what else you can do. So I got online, maybe like Instagram.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a fan of Instagram. I just created an account. And I said, you know what? Let me look at other people in this industry and see what they're doing. And then back then, I think it was, oh my gosh. Anyways, another app that people used to get on and speak on and do videos on. And I would get on there and listen to people. And I said, oh my gosh, she's so successful. And, she's helping people do this, do that. I can do it too. So then I started researching how to legally create a credit repair company that's, reputable and legal in my state, looking up the state laws and all of that stuff. And I created my baby. And like I said, I've been in business for 5.5 years. And what we do at Focus Credit Solutions is we educate our clients. A lot of people think that it's all about the credit score. Well, in some instances it is, but the way the credit algorithm is changing, the way they're changing how they score us is changing. And now they're wanting to see your overall report. They want to make sure that your report is, just as good as your credit score. Somebody with a 650 may get approved for something good that a person with a 700 can't get approved for.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So we're changing the way we educate our clients as far as we're aiming for a good score, but we're also aiming for a good credit report. And the goal is to always legally dispute inaccuracies. Our company helps clients legally remove items from their credit report, because if we believe every collection agency or every account holder or creditor that reports something about us, then we'll all have bad credit.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's very important to understand that charge-offs and collection accounts, they're bad for your credit. But what about this good credit card that you've had for 5 years with good history? What if it's only reporting for 2 years and you opened it for 5 years ago? That's taken away from your history. That's taken away from your credit score. As soon as we figure it out, we get it fixed. And guess what a credit score is going to do? It's going to jump up. So it's just all about disputing inaccuracies. That's what it is.
Gotcha. Do you find that you end up with a lot of entrepreneurs as clients? Because I know, obviously, well, you've started a business, so you know where I'm going with this. But when you start a business, a lot of times you leave your job, so your income goes down. You all of a sudden bite off a bunch of debt.
Definitely.
So all of a sudden, you might have maxed out credit cards or, whatever. So obviously your credit gets hit. And, I know I'm not a credit repair person, but I'm a business consultant. And so I've had, people come to me and say, I need to try to get a business loan, but my credit cards have been maxed out. What do I do? And I'm like, you're going to have to contact a professional on that. That's not my forte, but it's very common because, they've been living off the credit cards while they've been building their business. And then all of a sudden they're ready to scale and grow. They need to get business. Yeah. They need to get that business loan, but they have to personally back it because it's a newer business.
Because it's a newer business.
Yeah,
definitely. Yes. We get a lot of people that are in business. And like you said, they've been living off of building their business off of their credit cards. And that's why we educate them on, you want to make sure that you have revolving credit, just like the ones you maxed out, with huge amounts where they don't check your credit. And then they add those accounts to your credit report so that it can drop that utilization so that you can get approved.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I notice a lot of them will come to me. They won't need credit repair, but they need advice. They need that audit so that we can point them in the right direction to go and get those accounts so it can drop the utilization. So because you get denied when your utilization is high.
Yeah.
So if their utilization is 60%, that could get them denied because they look like they're in a financial distress. So once we point them in the right direction to get certain accounts to add that revolving available credit, and it's like secured lines, they don't check your credit, it drops that utilization down significantly. And that's only if they do exactly what we tell them to do.
So that's good advice to know. Do you consult the businesses in? So if somebody right now is listening and they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. I've been living off my credit cards. My business is starting to do good now, but I'm needing to scale and grow. And I'm looking to get, finance for a new office space or whatever it may be. And they're not sure where to start. Like, how would they get a hold of you?
Okay. So first they can start off, they can go to our website. It's www.focuscredit.com. And they can click the tab that's going to allow them to email us and contact us. Okay. Or they can give us a direct call at 1-866-362-8702 and press extension 1, and it will dial straight into us. And we'll answer the phone, and we'll set up a good time and day to speak with them. And if we don't have any appointments, we can pretty much get them, do the consultation over the phone right now.
That's awesome. I love that. So if you had, if you had somebody that was right now kind of in the low place that you said you were, back in the day, what would you say to them right now? They're like, oh my gosh, Kash, your story is inspiring me, but I'm just so bogged down with all my mistakes and I don't know where to start. What would you say to them?
First, I would tell them to basically take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and tap into the pain. Yeah. Go ahead and visit that pain, because, we throw that stuff in the back of our head and sometimes we forget about it because it hurt us so bad.
Exactly.
Tap into that pain. Figure out who your people are around you, your circle. Find out who pours into you and who is taken away from you. Because other people, when we're vulnerable, when we're hurt, when we're broken, the people around us, they also, I don't care how grown we are, they also contribute to our actions. They Absolutely. Contribute to how successful we are. They contribute to how we speak, how we act, how we move. Evaluate people, okay? Evaluate the darkness in your house. Because I noticed when I was depressed, the house was dark.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay?
My gosh,
focus
yes.
Focus on the darkness of your home. Open up your blinds. Cut on some good music. Go back to the music that made you feel good.
Yeah.
When you go back to those things, and if you want to do self-improvement with yourself, self-care, go get a pedi, men or women. Go get a mani, men or women. Put a budget aside that's going to allow you to see about yourself. My daughter told me, at the age of 17, Mom, if you look good, you feel good. Yeah. That was my first cue. I said, wait a minute, I must be ugly, or she's not used to me looking this way because I'm hustling. I'm working. Yeah. I'm, channeling to your inner beauty so that it can flow out.
Absolutely.
And then figure out what it is you want and need in your life. And let me tell you, it goes from the kids to the husband. Y'all are going to respect me. Y'all are going to respect my time. Y'all are going to respect the days that I don't want to cook, the days that I don't want to clean. Y'all are going to respect all of this because I've been taking care of you guys for so long. So go ahead and put those boundaries there. I had to put those boundaries. I had to. And guess what? I started to evolve.
Isn't it funny how, like, I've always heard boundaries, but I never really understood them. Like, I didn't understand how that would play in my life, in my personal life, my business life, everything, because I didn't have them. Right. I guess I did. They were way down deep inside. They existed, but they usually only came out when somebody stepped on my invisible boundary that they didn't know existed because I didn't verbalize it, Right. And then I'd get pissed and I'd be like, oh, no, you don't, But once I started verbalizing, like, I had to sit down and think, okay, what are my boundaries and why? What is not a boundary, but me just being a stubborn ass, and what's a real boundary? I established my boundaries and I had to let everybody know, including my husband, including, like you said, children. People that I work with. There's been more than one time that I've been working with the person and I've said, I don't think this business relationship is good for either of us because
yes,
it just doesn't mesh. You just don't mesh. And that doesn't mean they suck or it doesn't mean I suck. It just means sometimes it's like oil and water. You just don't mix.
That's right. And it's okay because you know what? All money isn't good money. There's been plenty of times in my company that when I review something, a client isn't doing exactly what they need to do, and I have to let them go. All money isn't good money because we put you in the program or we allow you to come in the program, so that you can do better and be better. And if we're seeing that it's not working out, then guess what? We have to let you go. Maybe somebody else can help you. And I also point people in other directions when they don't fit my program. I send them to other people. So yeah, so it's just one of those situations where you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your mental, because when you've already been broken, when you already have a mental issue and dealt with mental illness, everything that you cannot control is a trigger.
Yep.
It's a trigger.
So and you know how it feels too. Yeah. You don't want to ever go back there.
I know
that's me.
When it's coming. It's like a sickness. It's like a sickness, like a cold. They say you start to sneeze before you get a cold.
Yep.
I already know if my house is too dark, if things are going on that I'm not if my feng shui is off. Yeah. Oh no, let me open up these blinds. Let me put on some music.
Absolutely.
Let me take my vitamins. That's just where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a lot of women business owners that are there because, I started out, with my own business, just doing business consulting. That's all I did. Mm-hmm. I had been with the wellness industry for about 20 years because that was always kind of my side hustle. But, I had, I got into business consulting because honestly, I ended up divorced because I'm in my second marriage, but I ended up divorced and I was working as a trainer and a nutritionist and I have 4 kids. I have 7 now, but I had 4 kids at the time. And, I was like, okay, well, I'm making good money for a second income, but to raise 4 kids by myself, not so much. So I started looking around and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? And I got into marketing and then ended up leaving the company I worked for and going out on my own. But I did mainly consulting, creative consulting mainly, but consulting. But it's funny how business expands and at the same time it's expanding, it gets more focused because even though I consider myself a business consultant, I end up doing a lot of coaching. I end up doing even a lot of wellness coaching because it's funny how you get in with a business, they call you for marketing help or social media help or whatever. And you start to talk to them about, their why, their story, whatever it may be. And it goes back to, their own personal stuff that, they're carrying around. And, and like you said, if you don't feel good, if you don't feel good, that affects everything. So it ends up segueing over to wellness. So it's funny that I kept my worlds kind of separate for so long. So I had, Maria, the real person with her struggles that she kept secret. And then I had, Maria, the wellness person that really loved, talking nutrition and, stuff like that. And then I had Maria, the business professional. And I was like trying to juggle all these balls in the air, which is another reason that I ended up crumbling into pieces because I was burning my candle at both ends. That's another story for another day. But I mean, now I don't keep them, completely separate. Yes, I have different accounts on Facebook or whatever, but my worlds blend and people know that I keep my Maria is Maria across the board, no matter what social media account it is, and I think that has helped so much on really getting into clients, heads and figuring out what is really going on. Because as you probably know, because especially dealing with finances obviously touch everything. It affects your entire life. If you can't get a car to go to work, well, you're screwed. If you can't,
you're screwed. What I mean? Right. That's right.
So I'd say you end up playing part-time therapist too on a lot of these things.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I think that's super important that, if you were being Kash, the perfect financial advisor that doesn't have any problems, nobody's going to open up to you.
Nobody's going to open up. No,
because you're too perfect. You don't want to open up to something perfect, right?
Yes. And that's the thing about it. Once I started telling my story, that's when I noticed, oh my gosh, I'm getting these stories from people that dig way back to, we didn't, my mom and dad didn't teach us financial security and this. So I'm getting the stories and I'm like, but that's okay. It's okay with mom and dad. So what you do is you learn And if mom and dad is blessed to still be here, take it back to them and you help them. That's
exactly
what you do.
See, and I love that. And I think that's great. And I think that if more people were real, we would see that, well, we already know it. There's no such thing as perfection. And a lot of these people that, we gaze at their Instagram all day, like, they got it all together. No,
they got it all together.
Worked with some of them. I had people reach up to me and say that. They're like, well, you wouldn't understand because you got it all together. I'm like, oh, girl.
No.
Oh, girl.
It's a meme going around that says, sorry if I look like I got it all together, but I don't. And I don't.
Absolutely.
Guess what? We're growing and we're helping other people that are just like us or was like us. And guess what? Once you reach your goal, guess what we got? Other stuff that hits us because we open up a little bit more and we start to see certain things that we want to do and we need to do and we got to do. And guess what? That's another goal. And it's an even bigger goal. So you never, ever get done with reaching your goals. Ever.
Absolutely. It's just leveling up. That's what I was telling somebody the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You're just on the next level. You're always going to have those things that you want to change or your negative self-talk's going to try to say. You're always going to have those things. You're just leveling up.
Definitely.
So, well, I've really enjoyed talking to you. I mean, I think it's been great.
Talking to you too.
So when this airs, I'll make sure that your links and stuff are in the details of the notes on our podcast. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, to kind of say, hey, Kash, my, credit is in the tank and I don't know where to stop, they'll be able to get a hold of you. Awesome. And I'm super excited. So thank you so much for being on today.
I know. Thank you for reaching out. And I really, really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the conversation.
Definitely. Thanks so much.
Swerving on these chickens, cluck out my lane. I'm a boss. Out my way. I just do every little thing that I say. I'm the freaking greatest. I'm the rage they exclamated. LA Times, I stay on page 6. I'm even